What's up, my friends? If you want to learn how to stand above your competition in the wedding photography and videography industry, you want to learn how to absolutely crush all of your competitors, I'm not going to teach you how to do that in this video. What I am going to teach you how to do in this video and in this podcast episode is 5 ways to stand above your competition and really excel yourself and your brand above everyone else so you can create your own blue ocean that is full of ideal clients and full of bookings. It's fantastic. Okay, so in this podcast episode, in this video, that's what we're going to be covering. We're going to dive in here in just a second, but I want to welcome you back to the Full-Time Wedding Pro podcast and YouTube video now, because again, I'm making these for YouTube and also for the podcast on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. So if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. And if you like this content, give me a like, give me a follow, give me all that stuff. It's great. My name is Peyton Helm. I help wedding photographers and filmmakers scale their wedding businesses with paid ads, with branding fundamentals, with organic marketing. Essentially, if you're a wedding photographer or filmmaker and you are stuck at $50, $70, $100,000 and you want to scale to multi 6 figures, I'm your guy. I can help you do that, and I can help you do that while building a high value brand, not focusing on discounts and giveaways. So if you want to learn more about that stuff and how I help photographers and filmmakers, go to fulltimeweddingpro.com or click the link in the description. Also, my Instagram is there at Peyton Helm. Please follow me. Go through my content, go through my results tab. It's fantastic. I'm posting stuff every single day on stories. It's great. Okay, so plugs over. Without further ado, let's dive into how to stand above your competition. Now, I need you to track with me for a second. Okay. Also, I just want to let you know, drink of choice today is a Monster Zero because I'm going to the gym right after this. So I'm either going to be spitting fire by the end of this or my heart is going to give out from all the caffeine. So, either way, hopefully I get this video up. So let's dive in, y'all. Here's what I want you to understand about competition, because I talk to a lot of you guys on calls, coaching calls, sales calls, whatever. And I hear all the time, oh, I feel like I am not a match for my competitor, or I'm losing work to this competitor, or this competitor is charging more than me and like their work maybe isn't as good, or vice versa. Like, oh, their work is so good. How can I compete with that? Here's what I want you guys to focus on before we get into the 5 things. Okay. This is going to be a mindset trick. 99% of your competition sucks and they are irrelevant. Ask me how I know, because I'm a coach for wedding photographers. Most of your competition is broke, okay? I promise you, most of them are broke. There is 1% of them that are doing really well and they're booking a lot and they're great, right? However, that's the 1%. Most of your competition they're broke. They're charging less. They don't know how to build a high value brand. They're in Facebook groups commenting on ISO posts for people who have like a budget of $1,000 for their wedding photographer or videographer. That's most of your competition. Okay. So these 5 things in this video, even if you just do like 1 or 2, you are going to be standing above those people, right? I want you, my goal for all of you is to build a high value, successful brand for 2024 and so on every year past that. Okay. So that these 5 things, focus in, take notes, watch this video or listen to this podcast a few times and really dive into this. Okay. Now let's dive in. Number 1, recognize the power of brand. All right. There's a quote I heard and it says, brand is the association we make between what we know and what we don't know. All right. And I know that sounds very, very ambiguous. Okay. But I'm gonna break it down. So brand is the association we make between what we know and what we don't know. All right. What do we know? Let's cover that. What we know is our lives, like we are human. Okay. So what we know is we have feelings, we have emotions, we think, with logic, we are a photographer, blah, blah, blah. Like we, go to the store, we buy things, we have family, like what we know essentially is everything, right? So that's what we know. What we don't know is your company. That's it. So what we know, which is everything, and what we don't know, which is your company, right? Your brand is the association we make between our lives and your company. That's all that brand is, okay? The people or the brands that do this the best are the ones that are memorable, okay? So think Apple. Everybody freaking knows Apple. Why? Because they made their brand memorable. They made their brand simple and easy to understand. That's why I freaking have everything Apple. I'm on an Apple display with a MacBook plugged in with keyboard, like an Apple keyboard and trackpad and an iPhone, and I usually wear an Apple Watch, So like Apple is a great example of branding, right? Very clearly what they stand for, which is simplicity, right? And elegance and beauty. Okay. You recognize that, you understand that. And then you compare that to another very, very, very high value brand, not high value in their image, but high value in their actual, worth, essentially, like Walmart, right? So it's they go after totally the different types of people that Apple goes after. They are save money, live better. You think, when you think of Walmart, you think of like the blue and the yellow, you think of cheap, and you think of easy, and you think of, abundant, right? Because they have so much stuff, right? And then you think of like Target, red, the total opposite to Walmart, and they usually go after people who have a little bit more money. They're a little bit more elegant and refined. They have less of a selection. This is what we think about when we think of brand, because these companies have done such a good job at making their brand memorable and invoking a feeling within you. When you buy something from Apple and you see like the elegance and how refined it is and how everything's made out of metal, and like the beautiful white trackpad, if you're not watching this on YouTube or whatever, but like how it's all like elegant and it's refined, you feel good. You feel like, this is like, I feel like I'm $1 million person, even if I'm not, you know what I mean? And like having a MacBook, like I just switched from a Dell XPS, which is the top of the line Dell laptops, to a MacBook in M1 Max. I'm not like blowing money. I got it, renewed and all that stuff. But, regardless, like just making that upgrade, I'm like, whoa, I feel totally different. It's a feeling, right? So brand essentially is a feeling. How do your couples feel when they go to your website, when they go to your Instagram? Okay, do they just see you as a photographer or as a filmmaker, right? Because most of your competition, they just say, oh, I'm a blank location based wedding photographer or blank location based wedding videographer, and I post a few of my wedding photos or videos, and that's it. That's not a brand. That's you treating your business like a hobby, if that's what you do. What do you really do? Right? Think about that. What do you really do? Are you just a wedding photographer? Probably not. Are you a wedding photographer that serves a very specific client? Are you a wedding photographer that only shoots a very specific wedding? Or are you just a catch-all? Are you a catch-all photographer? You're not even niched down to weddings or videographer. Do you do freaking real estate and family portraits and all this stuff? Or do you just focus on one thing? And then on top of that, do you just focus on one specific type of client, right? For me, my ideal client is somebody who is a rule breaker. They're a little bit bold. They're very adventurous. They want to break the norms when it comes to having a wedding. They don't want to follow tradition, because tradition's boring, at least in my opinion. They want to do things different, right? They want to be different. They want to have a love and live a life that is without boundaries. They don't give a shit about what other people think. Right? I know this because this is who I am. And I'm not saying you need to have your ideal client be the exact version of you. That's not what I'm saying. Sometimes that actually is a bad thing. But I know for me, this is what I stand for and what I stand against. And I know that I align with my ideal client because that's what my brand goes after. So I know how to speak to them. Now, if your ideal client's different than you, that's totally fine, but you still need to know how to make them feel something. When they go to your website, do you use descriptive imagery, right? When you talk to them? Or are you just saying, hey, I'm a wedding photographer and I've shot weddings for 10 years and I'm pretty great. I've got a refined style. Hire me. That's not a brand. That's just you spitting your words out like, oh, look at me, I'm fantastic. Your couples can't connect to that. So how are you making them feel when they go to your website, when they go to your Instagram, when they see your brand? How do you make them feel in person? All of this is brand. Brand is not about pretty colors and nice fonts and all that stuff and being congruent. I mean, that's important, don't get me wrong, but brand is really about making a positive and emotional association with your clients to your company. And I know that's very ambiguous, and brand is kind of hard to give advice tactically on. I do this a lot in the program. Most of our coaching calls are on brand. So, number one is recognize the power of brand. Most of your competition are just wedding photographers and filmmakers. So how do you really connect with your ideal client? How do you really understand what they value, what they want out of their life, out of their wedding? If you know that and you know how to speak to that, then you will be immediately just with number one above the rest of your competition. So that's number one, recognize the power of brand. Number two, this kind of goes in line with that, is lean into what makes you unique. Now, ultimately, There's 8 billion people on this planet. We all cannot be the most unique. And you know, with wedding photographers and filmmakers, we all kind of do the same thing, right? Like we provide nostalgia for our couples. We provide images. We provide films. We tell stories. We capture moments in time. These are things that we do. We all provide a good experience, hopefully. So what do we do that makes us unique? Well, the most unique thing about you is the fact that you are a human and you are in your nature different than everyone else, because you are you and there is no carbon copy of you. Okay. So lean into who you are, lean into your day-to-day life, lean into what makes you you, your photo/your video style. Obviously that's a crucial thing to talk about. If you have a really refined style, or you have a different style, or you have a trendy style, you have a filmic, it doesn't matter. Whatever style that you shoot and you edit with, whatever intention you put behind your experience with your couples, lean into that. Talk about that. Show your day-to-day life. If you've got kids, show, and this is a little controversial, show your kids if you want to. If you've got pets like I do, I don't have kids, I have a dog. Like, show your dog, you know what I mean? Like, show what you do day to day, even if it's boring, because your couples want to see that. Show the behind the scenes, right, of your weddings, of your shoots, whatever. Share what you believe in and what you stand against with your brand, right? Like for me personally, I kind of mentioned this in the first thing, let me actually give a different example with the coaching program. With my coaching program for photographers and filmmakers, what I believe in is creating a high value brand and having control over your marketing. What I stand against is treating your business like a hobby, constantly running discounts and giveaways and lowering your price because you think that's what's going to get you booked. I stand against that. I stand for creating a high value brand, and I talk about that in my marketing. What do you stand for? What does your brand stand for? What do you stand against with your branding? That is what makes you unique. So number 2 is lean into that and lean into what truly makes you different from everyone else. And it will take some journaling. It'll take some thought here, right? This is not something I can just tell you. So number 2 and number 1, recognize the power of brand and lean into what makes you unique. Okay, that's the first 2. I'm gonna get a sip of my caffeine. Okay, let's go to number 3. I spilled that a little bit. That's hilarious. Let's go to number 3. This is a big one. Do the things that they won't. This is going to, if you do this, right, this is going to require you to stop being a little, should I cuss on this? Don't matter. Anyway, this is gonna require you to stop being a little bitch and to take full control and to really dive in and take your business seriously, okay? Now, I wrote down a few points here. Points here. God, my voice is cracking. So number 1, how many of them create videos to put on their website? That is something I never see, but it's something that I love to do. With photography specifically, don't do this, and that's totally cool because I don't really have to. Like I'm chilling with my inquiries and my bookings. But if you really want to scale and you really want to get the highest conversion rate possible, why not create videos? Create an about me video, create a preview video, create a video talking about your offers and what you sell, create a thank you video after they inquire, put a video on your freaking price guide when you send it to them. People connect with you face to face. That is human interaction. It's really hard to connect with somebody if you're just reading words on a screen on their website. That's why putting your prices on your website converts way lower than getting people on a Zoom call or a FaceTime call. So how do you bridge that gap? And what do you do that nobody else is doing? Put videos on your site, get your face out there. If you're not comfortable with that, suck it up. You are running a business here. You do things that are uncomfortable. I am doing things that are uncomfortable for me every single day. If you really want to take it to the next level. If you're fine living a life of mediocrity and you just want to make technically a full-time income from your business, sure, you don't have to do this. I mean, I went to 6 figures several times year after year, not putting videos on my site. But if you really do care about creating a brand that is separated from the competition and creating your own blue ocean there, yeah, put videos on your site, put videos on your Instagram, talk, share your face and stories, share your personality. That's how people connect with you. Even if you have a studio-based brand, okay? Even if you do not have a personal brand, do this because people want to connect with someone. We are, even millennials, but mostly Gen Z, we are so fucking burnt out of the capitalist system in the US. Now, personally, I love capitalism. I think, when it's not corrupt capitalism like we actually have, I think capitalism is fantastic. I love being able to create a business and break free of a system and a matrix. But what we have in the United States, unfortunately, is very much so leaned into the Fortune 100, Fortune 500 companies kind of pushing the indoctrination of you have to have a job and you are not allowed to create your own business. And that's why most people fucking shit on people who create businesses. But that's besides the point. We're getting a little bit off topic here. So anyway, if you I totally lost track of what I was talking about here. That's fantastic. I'm so ADHD. It's hilarious. So anyway, put videos on your site. It's essentially what I'm trying to say here. Before I went on a total rant. If you want to create a truly high value brand that is different and you want to show your face. Oh yeah, I was talking about studio. So even if you have a studio based brand, people want to connect with a person behind that brand. Okay. So yes, put your personality out there. It will help you. All right. Now, second point here. How many of them take time to do complex things to make their clients' lives easier? Think about this. And the biggest thing I can see here is overwhelming pricing. I see this constantly with coaching members who just joined me. They have, several different packages and they make their clients choose between hours and they make them choose if they have a second or a third photographer. They make them choose all these things. Why do that? Why would you send them a pricing guide that has a whole bunch of stuff that's not relevant to them? Why do that? You're being lazy and you're creating complexity for your clients. How can you put in that work to make your clients' lives easier? Well, maybe instead of offering hourly, do all day. Instead of giving them the option to have a second photographer with you, make that non-negotiable. Say, okay, if I do this, I will hire a second and you don't get to choose that. You don't get to pay, you don't have to pay more and you don't get to save any money if I don't bring one because I'm hiring an assistant. That's a huge shift I made in my business over the last year. And that's something that I'm a lot of my coaching students are doing now as well. Right? Instead of giving them an a la carte model, give them something that they actually want and show them the options. Okay. But don't show them so many options that they get overwhelmed. Right? Is your website too complex? Are they having to click 1,000 different pages just to get to your contact form? Are you sending people to galleries that go off site and don't revert back so they have no way to contact you? How are you doing things? Really reflect on your business right now. What are you doing that makes your clients' lives way more complex than it needs to be? And how are you overwhelming your clients? Most of your competition does this because they just kind of blindly follow the industry where it's like, oh, do several packages and only show your work and all this stuff. Like, come on, guys, do the complex things that makes your clients' lives easier. It's a huge mistake I see all the time. Okay. So that's the second thing. Third thing, how many of your competition, how many of them invest in a mentor, right? Versus just going on YouTube like this and just trial and erroring everything until they either close their business or they eventually find success several years down the line. Investing in a mentor and learning from their mistakes and also learning from their students' mistakes that they have used to improve their program is amazing. It's such a cheat code. I've invested in coaches at every single point in my business, every different stage that I've gone through, and knowing, being a coach myself and helping people grow, it is invaluable to have a mentor. Even if it's not me, that's totally fine. Hire someone who is where you want to be and then take what they tell you as gospel and do what they say. All right. Put your ego aside and do what they say. It will help you. Fourth thing, how many of them work on creating a high value brand they can charge higher with? I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but think about your competition. Think about how many of them are in Facebook groups right now as you're listening to this saying, oh my God, please hire me, even though your budget's only $2,000. And they do that because they've not created a high value brand and they're not getting any inquiries in. You are different. You are going to create a high value brand. I'm going to help you do that. That's why you're here. You're listening to this. How many of your competition are actually taking the time to do this stuff, to really pay attention to how to create an emotional connection with their ideal clients? And in doing so, charge way more. Right? Most of my coaching students in the program are charging somewhere between $6,000 and $10,000 for their weddings. And they came to me charging less than $5,000. Why do they do that? Because I show them how to create a high value brand that will attract people who are willing to pay you. And just because I say, oh, you're charging $10,000, they're not going after super rich people. Super rich people are hiring photographers at $50,000 to $100,000. We're not dealing with super, super rich people. If that's what you want to do, go for it. It's fantastic. But usually you can charge somewhere between $5,000, $6,000 to $10,000 to $15,000 for your weddings, and you're not going after super rich people. Okay. So if you have that mindset, that limiting mindset where it's like, oh, I can't charge more because, you have to be rich to afford a $7,000 photographer or filmmaker. That's not true. I promise. I see the data every single day. It's not true. You can charge higher. You just have to create a high value brand. And when I mean high value brand, I don't mean you have to be luxury. I mean, you have to perceive, or your clients have to perceive your brand as more value than you charge. All right. You have to provide more value than you charge. And if you do so, you can charge whatever price you want. I love that. All right. So that's number 4, I think, or number 5. Yeah, whatever. So how many of them time block and use productivity systems to stay consistent? How many of them are working every single day? Are they using their calendars to time block and do deep work like I'm doing right now? How many of them are, running to-do lists? How many of them are paying attention to their numbers and running a CRM, right? Keeping track of everything. If you're not doing that, you're not treating your business like a business. You're treating it like a hobby. Okay. Next one, how many of them treat their business like a business instead of a hobby? That's kind of funny. Yeah. How many of them are doing that? Like, how many people are just kind of, randomly posting on socials or like letting referrals come in, but they're not actually treating their business like a business. They're just kind of treating it like a hobby. That's why 99% of your competition sucks. Okay. So number 3 is do the things that they won't. All right. Now let's go to number 4 because I'm on fire right now. I told you guys I'm pumped up right now because I'm drinking my caffeine. So, number 4, take your marketing seriously. This is a huge thing that I see so many people not doing. And this can be summed up in one question. What does everyone do for marketing for weddings? Social media and referrals, word of mouth. 99% of the time when I get people on the phone for the program, I ask them, what have they been doing for their inquiries? Posting on Instagram, posting on Facebook, and just riding the referral wave. Great. Here's the thing about that. While yes, you can control how much you put on social media, you cannot control the outputs, okay? You do not have full control over your inquiries. How many of you watching this or listening to this right now can tell me with absolute certainty how many inquiries you're going to get on average over the next several weeks, over the next month? If the answer is none of you, we have a problem. If you have zero control over your inquiries, you are like 99% of your competition. That sucks. Okay. Now I'm not trying to offend you. Okay. I am, but I'm not at the same time. No bad on you. Okay. I get it. You don't know what you don't know. You maybe have not invested in a mentor before, but that's fine. Okay. We're here to fix it. All right. So how do you have control over your marketing? Here's a few things that I've written down here. Number 1, learn and use paid advertising. You guys know I'm an ads coach. I love talking about paid advertising because it has absolutely changed the game for me and for so many of my students. And the number one reason why is because with paid advertising, you have full control over how many inquiries you're getting, how many weddings you're booking every single month. It's not a guessing game. Okay. You know for certain if you can spend 5% of what you charge to book a wedding, or 10%, and that's at the worst end, 10% of what you charge to book a wedding, then you know how much to spend in ads. Now, obviously, you need to know what you're doing. You need to know how to message, you need to know your brand messaging and brand positioning. You need to know how to run ads, all that fun stuff. Okay, that's what I teach in Full-Time Wedding Pro. But when you know that, you have full control over your marketing and your inquiries. And you know that if 1 month you want to book 5 weddings, and you know how much it costs for you to book a wedding, all you have to do is increase that ad spend. And if you want to take a break a little bit, you want to take your foot off the gas, then just turn your ads either off or lower your budget. And that's it. It's like a faucet. You can turn on inquiries and turn them off. It's pretty great. And I'm not just saying that to be hypey. I'm saying it because it is actually what it is. I know in both of my businesses how much I'm spending per lead and per booking, and it has been consistent almost this entire year. All right. Now, I know that because I have invested money and time and effort and energy over the last 5 years in learning how to run paid advertising. And now I teach it. Okay. So that is probably the easiest and lowest risk as long as you invest in somebody who knows what they're doing. It is the easiest, most consistent, and lowest risk way to market your wedding business. Okay. So learn and use paid advertising. Also, if you don't want to go the paid ads route, that's totally fine. And you just want to create content, think outside the box for content creation. How many of your competition is just posting photos, some reels, or just videos, if you're a filmmaker, on their Instagram and no stories, no highlights? Maybe they are a little bit consistent with reels, but it's just kind of right? They're just kind of following trends. Think outside the box a little bit. Okay, think about what I'm doing right here. Like, let's take a step back for a second. What am I doing right here for my business? I'm creating a YouTube video, educating you on a specific problem that you have. And then I am pitching you my program, right? That's what I'm doing in this video. This video is going on YouTube, okay? This video's audio will be stripped and put on a podcast. I'm going to use AI to create Reels, TikToks, and YouTube Shorts from this. And I'm going to post about this on my story. And I'm going to use this information to write a transcript in an email. Right? One piece of content is giving me several mediums of deliverability to you guys, which are my clients. How can you do this in your wedding business? How many of your competition are creating YouTube videos for couples on wedding planning, on advice, on photography trends? How many of them? Right? Probably not a lot. I've not seen many. And the ones that do, man, they're freaking crushing it. Right? How many of them have a podcast for couples? How many of them are posting consistently of their face, giving people advice, helping their clients, giving them free resources, and posting it every single day on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Shorts, Facebook Reels? Hey, they do pretty well. Hell, Threads is out now, right? I know it's overwhelming, but guess what? If you're not going to go the paid ads route, then you need to fully dive into content creation, right? Because your goal, I assume, is to stand above your competition and build a high value brand, right? Am I right about that? Cool. If you're not going the paid ads route, go all in on content creation. Now for the program, I'm doing both, but that's because I'm building the program to a multi-7-figure business. You don't have to do that for photography. For my photography business, for weddings, I literally mostly have just ran ads. And also I rank on Google a little bit. That's my next point. So I get a decent amount of inquiries from Google and from Pinterest, but most of it, in the past 5 years have came from paid advertising, right? Because I don't really care about social media for the wedding brand. I ultimately don't really like posting on social media in general. So I relate with you guys who agree with me there. But I recognize that for full-time wedding pro, in addition to running ads, this is kind of required. Okay. So I'm doing what it takes right now, even though I don't want to be making content on social media. So if you are like that, I feel you. However, if you really are serious about standing above the competition and you don't just want to lean into paid advertising, really think outside the box for content creation. How can you make multi-layered content like this? Okay. Think about it and think about what your competition is not doing and do that. Right. Next one, like I said, optimize your brand to rank for search inquiries. So ranking on Google is great. Ranking on Pinterest is fantastic. Getting a Google My Business up, making sure there's blog posts that you are writing that are ranking. SEO is actually pretty easy. A lot of people like to overcomplicate SEO. Literally all it is just making sure that your site is usable and people are actually engaging with it, because that's the number one thing Google looks for with SEO, right? Making good content that people are actually going to search for, number one, and then consume and not just completely leave your website, right? You have to have a good user experience, okay? And then just keyword research. Like there's sites like Ubersuggest and SEMrush. There's way more. Google itself has a keyword planning tool if you go through AdWords. At least they should still. I don't know. I haven't ran Google Ads in forever. But anyway, so literally that's all it is. You just have to know what people are searching for. And that's really easy in our industry, right? People aren't searching for client blogs. They're searching for how to plan weddings. They're searching for venues, vendors. They're searching for locations, ideas, outfit ideas, like all this stuff. It's easy to write content about this, right? And as long as you know how to register your site with Google and you know how to implement keywords and all that stuff, which again is not hard, you can rank on Google within 6 to 12 months, right? So it is slow, but when you get up there, man, it is solid. It's automated. It's easy. I love SEO. So lastly, implement a referral or affiliate system. How many of you guys are getting referrals in, but you're not really pushing for them? You're just kind of like providing a great experience. And then you're like, all right, there you go. What if you implemented a referral system for your clients or for vendors? What if you gave vendors gift certificates, or you combined services and you created an all-in-one inclusive system, or, offer for people, right? If they hire you and a planner or you and a videographer, how many of you guys are implementing an affiliate system, right? Just like that, where you're partnering with vendors, where maybe you give gift certificates or special offers. How many of you guys are giving maybe discounts on prints or discounts on anniversary sessions for your couples who refer you? Or hell, how many of you are just flat out paying a referral bonus in cash to couples who refer business to you? I'm not saying you have to. I'm just saying these things are ideas, and most of your competition don't care. They're just shooting, delivering, and then being like, peace. Like, you have also, how many of your competition, when they actually book a couple, or when they deliver sneak peeks or their galleries, when couples' emotions are at their highest, how many people are just plain and simply asking, hey, do you have any friends, or do you know anybody that's engaged that you potentially would like to, send my way? Just that question alone can get you more referrals. How many of your competition are just taking that one simple extra step? In my experience, talking to a lot of you guys, not many. I'm actually just this is funny at this point. So take your marketing seriously, okay? There is so many people who don't, and it honestly, just like, from my point of view, it makes sense why most people are struggling to book this year, because most people just don't care about this stuff. They're doing the minimal effort. So, yeah. And if that's you, take this to heart. Most of the time though, it's not you guys, because you're actually here learning. So you kind of give a shit about your business, right? You're here. So I want to give some encouragement to you. I'm not just going to talk down to everybody. I promise. So you're here, you're learning. I want to give you some encouragement. You are taking this seriously, and I love it. Okay. So please take all of this to heart, right? And understand that I'm coming from a frame of trying to help you, not just being a jerk. Okay. So that's number 4, take your marketing seriously. Number 5, this is probably a huge thing that all of you need to focus on, and it's just detach. Okay. Detach. Do not take success or failure personally. Okay. And what I mean by this is, so many people, they get into a rut where they're not booking a lot. They're not getting a lot of inquiries, and they're like, man, I feel like this is a reflection of me and who I am as a person. I feel like if I'm not booking, if I'm not getting inquiries, I just am not a good enough person. I am not high value. I don't deserve this. And my friends, that's not true. Okay. And it's not true on the opposite side of this. If you are successful, it's not because you're any better of a person than you were when you weren't successful. All that matters with failure and success are the inputs that you are putting into your business, okay? Your inputs drive your outputs. That's it, all right? So, if you're not getting a lot of inquiries right now, it's not because you're a shitty person. It's because you just haven't been doing the correct inputs for your marketing. That's it. That is all. And you have full control over that. It's not because you're a bad person. It's just because maybe you haven't learned it, or maybe you haven't invested in a mentor yet. And that's fine. Like, we are all at different stages of our business. I'm not going to tell you that, if you've not learned this stuff, that you're a shitty person. That's not true. Now, if you've learned this stuff and you've invested in a mentor and they've told you what to do, and you've said, nah, I'm going to do my own thing. Okay. Then maybe you need to drop your ego a little bit. And you're not successful, right? So do not take success or failure personally, right? It's not about you. It's about your business and what you put into your business. Okay. The only differentiating factor between being failure and being successful is just the inputs that you put in. That's it. Okay. Mindset plays a part of it too, but it's not your personality. It's not because, people just don't like me or whatever. That's not it. Okay. It is just the inputs. So focus on the inputs. Don't focus on the outputs. Okay. This is another level of detachment. Don't focus on your goal of making $100 or $200 or $500,000 this year. Don't focus on that. Focus on the inputs. Set goals for inputs. I talked about this in the last video. Set goals on, okay, every single day I'm going to make a piece of content, or every single day I'm going to, learn more about paid advertising, or I'm going to try this thing. I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do the hard things that makes my clients' lives easier, whatever. I'm going to tweak this, tweak that. I'm going to do the 80%, what's going to drive 80% of my results instead of 20% of my results. All right. Focus on your inputs and your outputs will come. Okay. And lastly, a bit of tactical advice: track and measure your stats every single day. if you're not treating your business like a business, then you ultimately will fail, right? So track your metrics, okay? Especially if you're running paid ads, track how much you're spending, how many inquiries are coming in, how many bookings you're getting, at what price point, how many inquiries are actually getting on the phone with you, how many of them are booking you. If you don't know these numbers, and 99% of your competition don't know these numbers, okay? I know this because I ask this on calls, and most people tell me they don't know, and that's fine, okay? This is my advice to you. Track your numbers, okay? Every business tracks their numbers. So track your numbers every single day, all right? So that is the 5 ways to stand above your competition, my friends. This is a hard video, and I was very raw and critical in this video, but that's for a reason. Number 1, recognize the power of brand. Number 2, lean into what makes you unique. Number 3, do the things that they won't do. Number 4, take your marketing seriously. And number 5, detach from your outcome and just focus on your inputs. All right, my friends, that is a wrap for this video. Thank you for watching. Hopefully I didn't ruffle any feathers too much, but hopefully I ruffled enough feathers for actually getting you guys to take action. So again, if you want to learn more about Full-Time Wedding Pro and how I help photographers and filmmakers scale to multi-6 figures using branding and using ads and creating a high value brand and controlling your inquiry flow, go to fulltimeweddingpro.com or click the link in the description. You can book a call with me. Just fill out the application. After you book a call, I would shoot you a video that breaks down the full offer and my 2 price points, so that way you know the full offer before we get on the phone. I do not do hard sales, and if it's not a good fit for you, just let me know. We'll cancel the call, and no bad feelings there. All right, my friends, thank you. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, leave me a rating and review. Okay, I'm done pitching. Goodbye. Have a good day.